Making a lot of assumptions there. The cold air of the city fills my lungs and burns like an old bottle of scotch, forgotten under the rugged sofa I can never seem to afford to change. Yet that pain barely compares to the disdain I feel when watching over the masses of people that crawl through the dark alleys like, Cheeto dust floating in the sky with Lucy in the diamonds and banana. This is the way people talk in noir movies. It's dumb, it's ridiculous, yet it mystifies me and makes me long for more. When Max Payne said,
"Pain in the butt,"
I was glued to the screen wondering what he was going to say next.
Pain to the max.
This game is a cinema.
But that's just one of the many leitmotifs of noir movies, and nobody could list them all, except for Nobody Wants to Die. You've got Detective Smoke-A-Lot, a disillusioned man with a dead wife and a cool car. There's a routine police job that turns into a murder, that turns into a mass shooting, that turns into a game of baseball, and it's also complex. Metal Gear Solid 2 looks like Metal Slug 2. And of course, you get the younger side character that still believes in abstract concepts like empathy, or Ubisoft still making a decent game. You could tell the plot of this game out loud to 10 different people and each one would think you're talking of a different 70s movie. If you, like me, enjoy talking with ghosts in graveyards like Luigi. Nobody Wants to Die escapes that graveyard though by adding some weirdo shit. 1 second you're watching a movie at a drive-in, then the car door opens and whoa! Somebody should call Luc Besson! Or don't if you're too young. All this sci-fi stuff is what allows this game to stop being Chinatown and go straight into Who Framed Roger Rabbit territory. In Nobody Wants to Die, nobody has to die. This guy is super dead. Because they can upload their consciousness from one body to another. Except they probably wanna die, because in this future, chocolate is illegal. Now, some of you snobby movie nerds might misjudge this game and think it's just ripping off from Altered Carbon, and yes, it absolutely is. Except this game doesn't suck balls. Each level tells its own gripping story, both through the environment and the crimes we investigate that seem just routine in this corrupt world where nobody has to care about consequences. Clue after clue we sink deeper into a rabbit hole of lies, like Roger. Who exploded this tree? Where is the good scotch hidden? Who played Deus Ex in real life? And why the hell can't I eat the damn chocolate, man? Come on! There's also so much care put into making these characters feel more human and believable. Whereas all the big budget games always have a bunch of morons who seem to have spent their whole lives just thinking of how they can help the main character defeating the big baddie, in Nobody Has to Die, there is a giant plastic chicken hidden in this lady's apartment. These little details make such a big difference between boring robot characters you forget after 5 minutes and the main protagonist that never shuts up about how much he hates this fast food chain.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking about how they make such awful food. Well, suffering's nothing new, especially for people who eat Demer food. Burned to a crisp.
I don't know, it cracks me up every time. Or there's the fact he's constantly scared of using the UV lights during investigations because he doesn't want to get skin cancer, even if he probably hasn't seen sunlight in 100 years. But UV lights are baby stuff. We've got a whole set of sci-fi jingles to gongo with straight out of an Arkham game, like the X-ray and the hand. But nothing beats the most powerful one. Actual magic. Okay, but seriously, there's suspension of disbelief and then there's this Hogwarts level of bullshit. This oversized watch allows you to rewind time based on the clues you find and okay, fine, holographic reconstruction. I can accept that. But then somehow you can also rewind the events to the point where this safe, which was sent into the high heavens, is now still intact. But then you can open the safe and get the content inside, even though it should have been turned into ash and little details, remember? And this thing is just ludicrous. But it's also very funny to use.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay.
The actual investigation is a pedantic follow the marker kind of deal where you barely ever have to put some real thinking into it. But what it lacks in depth is at least compensated by the satisfying loop of fetching clues and then see the events unfold at the press of a button in real time. It's not the most complex detective game, but it tickles the pleasure receptors in my brain the same way Pikmins do when they're thrown. Good pacing and short longevity prevent the story from being dragged down by this linear gameplay, but Nobody Has to Die can't avoid the telltale sign of every bad narrative-driven game with branching paths. The dreaded "this choice will impact the story" prompt. Because when you see it, you can be 100% sure your choice will mean absolutely jack shit. Except that one time, which barely seems that important, but actually changes 6 syllables at the very end, but also determines which ending you get. But then if you want to see the other endings, you've got to replay the whole game from the very beginning, because this game hates you. But hey, ending talk, alright? No spoiler, I would never spoil a game. So, at some point I wrote that if the ending sucks, I'm done. I'm gonna kill my PS5 in a fire, along with all its exclusive games. And never, ever eat lasagna again in my life. And that's when from the depths of Mount Doom, a man rose with words of hope. I've played it, he says. Let's say you won't be disappointed. Of course they can't be lying to me. Who would do that? Right, a Mooney mate? You're a good guy. Surely you're not a sneaky asshole who's setting me up, like Roger. You're not that kind of person, right? A Mooney mate? Well, he's not. Kind of. Nobody Has to Die goes back to Chinatown during its final act. It's abrupt, unexpected, almost refreshingly unsatisfying. If you want to hammer down the idea that society is corrupt and the little people can't really do crap to swim against the tide, you just cut their wings when least expected and barely give an answer to their dilemmas. There's a tragic beauty to it that I don't expect many will love, but I did. What I didn't like is how unimportant its own title becomes. Altered Carbon had a good concept, but everything else was dog shit. Nobody Wants to Die uses the same good concept with more nuance and intelligence, but it never has the balls to commit to it. I love any game that explores the concept of mortality. That's why I played Hellblade 2. Twice! Cause that's the closest thing you get to experience death without actually joining Dracula in a coffin. But this game kinda misses the mark and ends up focusing more on the detective stuff I've already seen in 600 movies, rather than fully embracing its themes like Soma did. Nobody wants to die. But should we want to? Should we be afraid of immortality? When the limits of the body are surpassed, what does that say of our humanity? How long can we artificially prolong our existence before it ceases to have any meaning? Or can a deathless life still drive us to greatness? Nobody Wants to Die asks these questions, but never seems to truly engage with them past the surface level. Maybe because nobody wants to answer them. But I still wanna know why I can't eat the goddamn chocolate. Jesus Christ, that's some truly evil shit.